Good evening, welcome to another episode of Easy8's Online Painting Club. My name's Danny, it says it right down there at the bottom of the screen. I hope you guys have all been well. I've had a really busy week, but I'm actually really prepared today, kind of emotionally for the show. Last week, must apologise, I was a little bit rushed. It's been a busy couple of weeks, sometimes I get them, and I came into the show just not kind of psyched up and ready for it, but I had a really good week. It's like a good week last week for the show in practicing lots of things for this week, and I'm really excited about the project that I'm going to be getting started into today. In the meantime, if you are new here, Easy8 isn't a tutorial show. That sort of stuff is all out there in spades, out there on the internet and YouTube at large anyway. This is literally just a place for you to come and chill out, socialise, make some friends over there in the live chat. Normally it's very, very busy before I get on to today, but I think I'm the first one in today. There's Jeff Lacey, that's my dad. Hi dad, oi oi, he says. Cheers mate for supporting. Looks a bit quiet and a little bit weird, doesn't it? But there are more people coming in, I can see. So yeah, thanks very much for coming along. If you are new, you can come along and just kind of join in, just sit there and watch. If you want to, that's fine. There's no pressure to kind of get involved in the chat, but you can sit there, type away, ask questions. Maybe you want to celebrate a victory in terms of your painting or model making that you've been doing recently. Maybe it's nothing to do with model painting. Maybe you want to like paint a picture. That's fine. Come along and join in too. That's no issues whatsoever. If you do like what we do here, then we're not just here on YouTube. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're on Discord. I got them all right today. That's amazing. I can never line that up. So yeah, you can follow us on Facebook. You can like us. You can follow us there. Please do come and join in. Throw up loads of pictures of the stuff that you're painting. Ask questions. Kind of maybe you're having a failure. Like I don't know what I'm doing, and you want to ask for some help. The community on Facebook are really, really good, and they're always active. I'm on there loads. Come and join in the chat and see what happens. Also, if you like what we do, you can come and join in the after party on the Easy8 Discord channel. I struggled to say that then. So if you want to come and join in the chat with me directly, live, with the rest of the guys, then you can as well, and I'll be on for maybe an hour or two at the end of today. Stafford's joined us. Aloha. Hi there. Have you been to Hawaii recently? Is that why we're doing that? Yeah, weird. It is cooler in the studio today. It's still pretty warm. It's still pretty uncomfortable. The computer says it's 19 degrees. That's a lie. But it is much cooler than it has been. I've still got the fan directly under the desk. It is pointed upwards slightly, dangerously in front of my toes, but that's the risk I'm willing to take today. And it's just blowing gently on a bit. It's quite nice. It is really still warm here in the studio. I've been having lots of problems with this camera over the last few weeks. It's always been problematic since I've had the new studio. I'm not entirely sure why, really. Every time I kind of sort out a problem with it, it seems to be another problem. But I've just touched this camera just as we were getting started, and it's quite uncomfortable to touch, like it's overheating. So that tells me that there's something quite wrong there. I've got 3 of these cameras. I've got one that you're looking at me now. I've got this one, and I've got another one just over there for when I'm playing games with my friends without having to disconnect them all the time, and I got them on like a nice deal on Amazon. They are legitimate cameras. They're not fakes. At least I hope so. But this one is overheating quite a bit, so that's got kind of a cause for concern. So that is the problem. I don't know how to tackle that, apart from blowing on occasionally, and it has been causing me problems because it's overheating. Sometimes it freezes during the show. Disclaimer, shock horror, if you've been following the show a lot recently, you'll know that it's been doing that. I can only apologise. I have a quick fix for it, but it constantly shuts down. Hopefully being in the studio tonight, a bit cooler, it should be a little bit easier, but I don't know. If it happens, I'm really sorry. Anyway, if you are working on a project this evening, because that's what this painting club is all about, is painting stuff in a club, right? Then do let me know. Kind of drop it in there over the live chat. If you're watching back retrospectively later on, like quite a few of the viewers do, drop it down there in the comment section. I always reply, apart from this week, but I'll get into that in a minute. I just didn't have time to reply, but I'm going to reply via verbal dialogue to John over there in the States. John Takacs over at Out of This World Models and Minis. Is like I support his channel. I think he's amazing. I think he does some wonderful stuff. You should definitely go watch his channels. That wasn't an expected plug. That just came out. Sorry, John. Always plugging the show. It's great. You should definitely go and check him out. Yeah, so you can drop in comments down there as well if you want to. Brilliant. Let me know what you're painting. Cheers. I'm going to be painting some Rangers today, some Skitarii Rangers. I have done these before, and I had a wicked time painting them. I want to get swifter at it because it took me a long time to do those 5 models. So these ones are all kind of pre-made, sort of. Show you in a second why, sort of. And I'm looking forward to just kind of getting down and grimy with them. I've also last week painted some Necron Warriors. These were given to me by Dave, who sometimes watches in the live chat. We might see him in a little bit. Hi, Dave. Thank you so much for these models. They're really cool. I was playing around, with a new metal colour, which I tested last week. If you haven't seen that video, go back and check it. It's really cool because this paint is awesome. It looks really good, and I played with the grimy effect over the top of it as well, just to see what it was like. I'm not going to be doing the grimy effect on these Skitarii miniatures. I might use some Basilicanum Grey, which is a colour by Citadel, a contrast colour, struggle to think of the term there. It's really good for kind of making metal look more metally. If you're using other metal colours, this colour doesn't necessarily need it, but I might play with that to kind of, create some false shadows and some recesses and things. Just punch myself in the eye. Cool, so yeah. First things first, let's go over to the workbench and have a little look down there. But before we go over there, if you do like what we do, like, follow and subscribe to this channel, because every little bit really helps me grow this channel. And we've had a subscriber since last week. I'm at 59. I really wanted to be 60 this week, but that was just hoping. We haven't got 60 before the show went live. It would be awesome if you guys could share the word about Easy 8 and just let people know about Easy 8 and just see if I can get up to 60 subscribers before the end of July. That would literally make my life. So yeah, please share the word. Get Easy out there. Tell a friend. Tell someone who isn't a friend. Tell an enemy. Tell a frenemy. Tell your gran. I don't mind. Cool. Let's go to the workbench. Cheers. All got a bit weird there, didn't it? Okay. So I've got my plastic putty out today because on these miniatures they have cloaks, and the cloaks come in several parts, and when you put them together they can leave some pretty big seams. These miniatures here aren't actually my miniatures. These were given to me by a colleague called Dave. He is the chef where I work, and he is a 40k, no, he's a game nerd, just a complete out name nerd? Game nerd. That could have gone so wrong. And he recently moved house and didn't have all the space that he used to have to store all of his miniatures. Knows that I'm really into Adeptus Mechanicus and the Skitarii. Is it going to come into focus? Any second now. Come on. And he gave me hundreds of pounds worth of unpainted miniatures, but most of them were pre-made. Dave, thank you so much. I know you only watch this show occasionally. You have a very busy schedule. I understand that. We work together. Sometimes you do watch it. This is a personal thank you to you. I've said it before on the show, but you gave me so many miniatures and asked for nothing in return, and that's super kind of you. And I do get that from viewers sometimes. They send stuff in to me. It's really appreciated. Thank you so much. I didn't have time during the week to make the other 5 miniatures from the set that I'd made previously. Here's one of the ones that I'd painted up. I really like them. I've painted up in the Ryza colours. That is the homeworld Ryza. It's more orangey than red. Cool, right? So I was going to make them up this week, but I didn't have time. So I just went into the box and was like, oh, these are the models that Dave gave me, and they're in the same configuration, the same weapon loadouts and things that I wanted. So I've just kind of done those. Dave made them, and he put them on stands, but in order to get up underneath the cloaks, paint inside their skirts, essentially, I would need to remove their stands. So just before the show went live, I had to do that. It felt a bit barbaric. Actually, on this particular one here, I did a pretty poor job. There's his foot there. So I will glue them down and hide that behind layers of terrain, scenics, etc. Yeah, so I had to do that. Cool, whatever. And when I did them the last time, I used the airbrush to get nice silky colours of orange on their cloaks. Hand painted the insides red because they do have red. And then I hand painted silver. I'm going to give it my best go at like spraying the silver on and then trying to spray as much orange as I can, because I want to get silky smooth metal colours with the airbrush. This stuff can be brushed better with the airbrush, so I'm going to try and not get overspray. It's going to be the toughest part of this job. Here's the Necrons painted in that silver. It is beautiful. These are slightly more browny and grimy because I did the grim dark effects on them, but they came out wonderful. And these metal colours literally cover in one shot. They are wonderful. So yay. Anyway, I might be able to get away with spraying the whole thing silver and then painting over the silver with the orange by brush. I'm actually going to give that a go on one miniature because I've got to use, I don't have to use, but it's better to use this high gloss black primer for the metal colour. And if I end up getting gloss black all over the cloaks, it's going to be really awkward to get that orange colour over the top of black. It's really thin orange that I've got. It looks really good, but it took coats and coats the last time. So I'm wondering that if I sprayed the whole thing black with the primer, sprayed the whole thing silver, that the silver might act as a bit of a lighter colour primer. Painting over metallics can be particularly tricky, I've been told, and I've had some experience of that recently. We'll see how it goes, right? Anyway, I've got my plastic putty out because on these cloaks they do have some large seams. That's where I was trying to get to with this. Here's a particularly bad one. This is actually, it just wasn't glued very well together by Dave, tisk tisk Dave, and it's got quite a heavy seam. If I bring that into focus, you might be able to see, and that does show up when they're being painted. Here's one. That's actually a bad example. Just here you can see it just there. See that seam? So I was going to try and get away with that. It's only on a couple of these models. So this plastic putty, I am literally just going to run a little line of it down there, and then I can paint over it later. I'm not too worried about it if it doesn't work. This one here is the worst one. I've got a couple more here. That one's fine. This one here's got a line. I think it is just those two, so I'm just going to stay with that. So first things first, I'm just going to kind of get that on the go, really. I'm just going to put a dollop of this over on my palette. It is quite interesting stuff. It's like a very thick paint, but it's basically a polymer. I'm just going to pop that over there. You can mix it with water. It's completely water soluble, which I think is fantastic. And I'm going to use my little Army Painter regiment brush for this. Just going to make sure the brush is nice and clean. Stick a bit on the end of the brush, and you just literally paint this stuff in. It's like the old liquid green stuff wanted to be, but never really did a very good job of it. Jeff says, what is the silver paint like by brush? I don't know. I've seen videos of it being used, and it seemed to apply quite well. But of course, now you've said that, I feel like I've got to try it. So I will. I'm going to maybe do... I don't want to experiment on everything that I do, but I feel like I've been challenged. That is literally all I need to do there. I might need to kind of buff that out or sand it out or something. That is absolutely fine. What I've been using on these models recently, I have to shout out about this, is this little demolding tool. Hated by some, loved by others. This is literally the Marmite of the hobby tool world. For those of you that aren't in the UK, Marmite is a spread in the UK that people either hate or love with a passion. I personally love Marmite, and I love this tool. This was very expensive, and it is literally just a piece of curved, flat, thickish metal. And the back of a Stanley blade does exactly the same job, but this just does it so well. I was very, very skeptical. Found myself with a bit of spare cash in my pocket on a trip to GW a little while ago. Picked it up because a friend had got one and said some good things about it. I will never not use this. I can understand why people don't want to buy it or may even struggle using it. And obviously it's a case-by-case scenario with modelling. This to me is just something that I need to have in my toolbox now. When the model is made, this is so good at removing mould lines, massive spur, like the spurs that are left over from the sprue attachments, and it does it all without gouging into the model like a knife blade will because it's so chunky. It is phenomenal. I love it. So I might even use that to try and like sand this down here once this is all dry. It's actually drying pretty quickly because it is still pretty warm in the studio. Let's get some more on here. This stuff is water soluble. You can mix it with water, paint it on by brush. It's really good stuff. Don't know if it's the best stuff out there on the market. It is particularly useful for this particular job. So where you're like trying to like match up seams and stuff on models where you've kind of missed it or the model wasn't so great quality or something. Filling in larger cracks than this, a bit more problematic. It's dried pretty quickly on my brush there, so I've just wet it down a little bit. I'm trying to just push it into the seam without leaving massive blobby track marks that will be picked up by the paint later on. Cool. Just a little bit on the underside here. Okay, cool. There's that one done. Let's move on to this particular model, and there's just that one big seam that runs down there, isn't there? Conveniently, actually, I think as a part of the very clever modelling design the sculptor has conveniently put these little tassels and like connections and wires and stuff hanging out from their belts that actually run in line with the seam. That looks to me like it's very deliberate, well played, very, very clever modelling. But obviously in some places it was difficult to do or too obvious to always cover it up with a tassel, cables and things. If I wipe it this way, you can see there's like quite a broad white line that runs down the middle of that. That is where wiping this sideways has kind of gathered it into that little recess. You want to be careful, of course, that you don't cover up your details, because it will cover. But you can reactivate it with water, so it's quite important to paint over it, seal it in. It's very easy to pick it out. Bit dropsy there. Let's see how quickly that's drying. And I'm just going to blend it away now. I've got a bit of water in my brush. Okay, cool, right, there we go. Now it's time to get on with the actual painting. So the first thing that I need to do is get my black primer out. This is the high gloss for the metals. Gonna give it a really good shake. Haven't used it since last week. I'm really tempted to find out what the metal colour is like painted on. So still over here I have got some more Necron models. So what I'll do is I'll give this one a bit of an undercoat as well, because eventually I'll paint them all silver, I suppose, right? And I'll just have a go at painting a section of him by brush and just see how easy it is. Yeah, it's interesting to find out, right? Gonna give this paint a waz on the Wazomatic. Stafford, it's up to you, mate. You know what to do. You know what to do. Let's give him a good old shake on the Vortex machine. Yeah. Cool. Just check if my camera's still working. Brilliant. Okay, I've got my airbrush over here. I'm just going to get my piece of paper that I like to put down for airbrushing. I don't want my stuff all over the top of the desk. On one of those cleaner airbrushes. Lovely. I was using lots of enamel paints this last week, so I give them a really good clean at the end of the last week, which I don't normally do if anyone pays attention. So I went on to Discord in the week and I was talking to the guys over there. I was up for ages talking with Chris the Wolf, who might be on right now. Hi Chris, if you are watching. Chris the Wolf has actually been a guest on this show before, and has come along and joined in, etc. Hi Chris. Okay, there we go, it's starting to come through. So I'm just going to go straight in. Let's get some primer in there. I don't know what any of my colours are going to be like with this gloss primer. Am I like setting myself up disaster for going in black? I know that I've got to sand this down, but I'm just going to hit everything here with some primer just so it's done, and then I'll sand it out in a bit and then come back to it. I picked up the wrong model, started on it, so it's fine. Whatevs. These metal paints and this gloss primer are really smooth to apply by airbrush. It's really satisfying. If you're even on the fence at all about having a go with them, get them, or get one. It's brilliant. My camera has frozen. I'll be straight over to that in a second, don't worry. I feel like I've got a slight clog in the airbrush, and I can feel there's a little bit of resistance. But the paint is still coming out super smooth. It's a really nice paint. I will get to that camera in just a second, bear with me. I have a feeling it's going to be playing up for a while. I definitely need to sort that out. Here we go. Let's just go to the back of house. Just gonna... It's a bit upsetting, isn't it? Here we go. John has joined us, popped in to say hello. I'll check out the show on the replay. We're working on a 1/6 battle droid from the Star Wars episode 1. I saw the thumbnail for your show earlier on. I'm really excited about it. Thumbnail or a picture you had on Facebook. Really excited. Hi, John. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming along, mate. Really appreciate your constant support over there stateside. For anybody who has been following me on Facebook, you will know that I've recently challenged John to eating Marmite over the same discussion I was just talking about. John works in the catering industry and said that he's never tried Marmite before, even in the stops in the UK. So I think he should have a go at it. So I'm going to see if I can source him some and send it to him. And we've been talking about doing a little video about eating Marmite. I think it's only fair, of course, that if I eat something that he sends my way, just understand, mate, I'm a vegetarian. Yeah, some people really don't like Marmite. I think it's really funny, some of the looks that people make when they're eating Marmite. So yeah, I'll be really excited to see what you think of it. A bit of a departure from the model show. Of course, John, you shouldn't feel pressured into that. It's just something I thought it was funny. He's giving me some thumbs up. Look, cheers, mate. If you are interested at all, I know that there's actually some people I was talking to recently outside of the show via messages and on Facebook. People are playing around with some snow terrain for their bases and just general scenics. John has recently done a video where he's painted some Space Wolves from 40k, and has done some epic snow bases. They are really, really good. I'm not just saying that to blow smoke in his trumpet, mixed metaphor. They are really, really good, and if you are even remotely interested, just go pop over and have a little look at that recent video. That's what this show is all about, is about kind of alerting other people or letting people out there in the community to all the other talent that's out there. So definitely go check out John Out of This World Models and Minis. There is a link in the description to this video. That was an unprepared plug, but the link in the description has been there for a while. So yeah, you can definitely go and check that out. Jeff says a 1/6. Wow, we'll have to have a look. It's going to be cool. My camera has frozen again. This is getting particularly unbearable. My camera is very, very hot, but you can still see me in the corner. I will check it out again in just a second. Yeah, weird. Maybe I need to plug it into a different port or something. I apologize for that. What I am doing right now is I am literally just spraying some black primer on some models that you've already seen. This is becoming quite embarrassing. But that is the fuss of a live show, right? That is why I do it. It is a bit more raw. Sometimes a little bit frustrating. But it's about the company, guys. Keep me company. That's why I made the show. It's just so you can keep me going. And so you can sit there and watch a static screen of nothing exciting happening. Totes soz. Okay, so that's the plasma gunner done. I'm just going to pop him down here. Okay, I'm going to have to go and sort this out again, aren't I? This is getting a bit unbearable. So literally, I'm just going to deactivate the camera. There we go. Boop. Cool. Let's disconnect it again. Pop him back on. There we go. Reactivate. Very, very frustrating. Maybe my lights are overheating it. It's not that hot beside them. The lights give off a lot of heat, but closer to the thing, it's not that bad. Well, anyway, it's a shame that it's happening. Okay, cool. On to the next model. So, these guys have just got their little rifles. They're called galvanic rifles. They're the standard rifle for the army. One of the two, anyway. The other one is a rad carbine. So these guys are more scouty, stalk you over very long periods of time. They're not going to run after you. They'll just eventually track you down and kill you. Just controlled electronically through their brains, through signals, through giant overseers, and spaceships that are just in constant contact with them, etc. And then the other types are called the Vanguard. They're very, very similar. They have different heads basically on their models, and those guys are basically overcharged with radiation. They've got armor that sort of protects them for a little while, but just kind of getting close to them ruins your day with radiation. And their guns shoot radiation at you as well, because radiation, right? I kind of like that. That's kind of a cool concept. But they are just like mentally programmed to not care. Right, I've got one more to varnish, one more to undercoat. I've still got to go back and do the ends of their weapons, but I've still got to do those little bits of filler that I just put in there as well, so not a big deal. Now I did think about doing like zenithal lighting with these, but I'm still kind of perfecting the colour scheme on them, still trying to get it nice and speedy. And in the end I didn't really bother. I might do it with some of the bigger models. They got a lot of robots and things, and I think that will look really cool. And they're not going to be so detailed, even though they're bigger. You think they've got more space for detail, but actually these little miniatures have got a lot crammed into a very, very small space. But their robots are quite big and bold. So there's actually a lot less detail on the larger models, and it might look a bit better to have some zenithal highlights on them. But with the little miniatures like these guys, not really that fussed about it at all. Right, so they're done. Gonna come back to the first guy, still ever so slightly tacky. Just gonna get the end of that gun there, because there's gonna be a lot of metalwork on that gun. There's actually a lot of woodwork on these guns. They're supposed to be like archaic designs and things, which is cool, right? Pop that guy there. Let's go to this guy. My camera has frozen again. This is getting a bit silly. I wonder if it's a cabling issue that's leading to overheating. I don't know much about electronics, so I'm finding it very difficult to kind of assess what the problem is. But it's definitely going to have to be on my priority list now, isn't it? Sort that out. I'm so sorry about it. I had a feeling today it was going to happen like this. If it is a heating problem, I hope that it will calm down as the evening goes on and it cools down a little bit outside. But like I said, it is much cooler today than it has been recently. It's still very warm. I am literally just spraying on the ends of these guns where I was holding them just a minute ago, completely covering the miniature in glossy black primer. Ready for some of that silver to go on. Cool, there it is. Just get rid of the rest of that primer in there. I'm just going to stick a little bit of cleaner, a bit of water through the airbrush. Just purge that out, and then I'll sort this camera out again. I'm touching it now, and it's really uncomfortable, the touch. Not burning me, but it's noticeable, you know. So there's got to be a problem with that, hasn't there? Just purge that airbrush. I'm actually purging all over the table. There we go. Cool. Right. Let me go in one more time. What I'm going to do is I am going to do a little trick, and I'm just going to come away from the workbench for a while and see if it just kind of cools down. Before I do that, that's just going to deactivate it. I'll unplug it a minute. There we go. Put it back in. I'm going to bring it back online. Here it is. Touching it now, it's quite uncomfortable. If I select this option, deactivate when not showing, it means if I come away from the workbench, it will cool down for a minute. Let's just come away from there. Here we go. Sorry about that. It's really embarrassing. I tried to run a nice show for everyone to enjoy, and it is humble. I'm not very good. That's not making it very easy for me. I apologise humbly. I'm not going to let it get me down. It is what it is. I just kind of got to roll with it. Them's the breaks. That's what Boris Johnson says, isn't it? So, yeah. So I've got those guys undercoated. Now, I've got some silver paint here. And I'm just going to spray it on and just going to cover them all and just see how well it goes. And then later on, I'll have a go at brushing on the Necrons. And if it was better, it was better. And then I would have missed that opportunity. This one has a little agitator inside to kind of really help get that paint flowing and creamy smooth, but of course it has to go on the Wazomatic as well. Come on, Steph. I saw it earlier. Wazomatic. There we go. And of course that is actually helping that little agitator ball inside as well really do its work. And these little vortex mixers, mine's not a vortex, I said this before, mine's the really, really cheap version, 30 quid on Amazon or whatever it was. But it really does help. And there are some people out there that will say like, oh, they're rubbish, they don't do it, there's better ways of doing it. But I've got one, and it's really good. It means I'd have to sit there and shake for ages and ages. It does a good job. The Vortex ones that are like 3 times the cost, nearly £100, they are really good, so sure. Okay, I have got my first little Skitarii miniature here, get it in the right side, painted in glossy black primer, and I'm just going to spray the whole thing in silver and just see how well the silver takes to, sorry, like painting orange over silver really kind of works. A little bit distracted now that my camera's not working. That one does need the cloak sorting out, so I'll come back to that one in a second. I'm going to go to this first one. Here, okay, cool. A little bit tacky, so I'm just going to hit him with some air. Clean my airbrush out a bit more, so add a little bit of water to the purge. There we go. Cool. Just going to hit him with some air and just really kind of get that gloss primer to dry nice and smooth. What I'm very aware of is I'm going to be touching them with my hands, so I'm going to take this nice and slow. Staffer says, is it worth swapping the camera over to your other one, see if it's a camera fault? Yes, but that's not an easy fix during the show. Yes, that is basically what I'm going to do and see if it works. It could be a connection issue. It might be the port that it's plugged into. I do have a lot of cameras all working, but they're not all working at the same time. Yeah, it could be anything. It could be the cable. I just don't know at this stage. The one that you see me through, hello, this one here has done it once before, but that's because it was like 37 degrees in here at the time. I expect that's going to happen. It's just being a bit of a bummer and bringing my show down. Wazomatic. It's okay, Steph, you don't have to shout. You can take the caps lock off now. Okay, so just going to put some drops of paint into the hopper. I'm not going to thin it down or anything. I don't think there's any need for that. And I'm going to get the bottoms of the legs done as best as possible. So his feet, because he's got trousers on, but the bionic legs actually only go up to the knee. But I did say I was just going to do the whole thing, so that's what I'm going to do. It's such a beautiful paint. It's so smooth and really quite realistic. I could be really setting myself up for a fall here. Staff says, sorry. It's alright. Oop, struggling to hold him in place. I know you guys can't see what I'm doing there right now. I'm really sorry. This paint is so good. It really brings out all the detail. It's almost like you don't need a wash of any kind to sort of run into those recesses. It's it's a beautiful paint, and I just can't explain how good it is. You just need to go and check it out and have a go. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to leave that one there for a second. Let's see how cool this camera is here. It has cooled down some, but it is still warm. Which makes me wonder if it's like a dodgy camera, perhaps. It could be, right? It could be like a poorly camera. Just a shame. It is still very warm. Is it off? It is off. Okay. Let's go back over to the workbench and see if it's working. Here it is. There's my hand. Okay, cool. Well, we're online at least. Here's my little dude, all painted lovely in silver. I'll bring him up nice and close so you can see. Is he going to focus? Come on, focus. Focus. Really beautiful colour. So, going to hit him with a little bit of air. On top of that cloak, just there. And I'm just going to have a go at painting over by hand with orange, because I'm really interested to see how this works. So, got a couple of oranges. The main orange that I use is not the one that's a red colour. Good show, Danny. I've got orange fire and I've got hot orange, and you can see the difference between the two here. I use hot orange. I've got a use for this one. I'll talk about that in a minute. Let's give this one a really good shake. Gonna hit him on the Wazomatic. Check that camera's still working. It's good. Okay. It is a nice colour orange. I really like it. But it's my first time really kind of venturing into the world of orange. I've not had anything to really do with it in the past, which is why I wanted to do orange here. That's why I wanted to play with this colour. And it's very thin, very well, at least the Vallejo one is. I wonder if there are other brands that do it better. This particular one, very difficult to get good coverage, opaque coverage straight away. Okay, you can see that it's still working there. Staff saying Wazomatic. Okay, going to use my number 0, Kalinsky. And here we go. I just want to see how good this is. Hopefully the camera doesn't freeze at the crucial moment. Do you know what? That covers really quite well. I'm actually surprised by that, but of course I've got to worry about the fact that it is a metallic colour, and is this going to turn into a metallic orange? At the moment it is. Too soon, Steph. It looks like an orange that you find on a car. That's fine, but a couple more coats, will it get rid of that metallic sheen? I hope so, because it's going to make my life that much easier if I can just spray the whole thing glossy black do the whole thing silver, then all the silver's done and I don't have to worry about getting into those tiny little face plates with the brush and anything like I had to last time. And then if the silver's like nice and bright and acts in itself as an undercoat for the orange, all the better, right? I also, on the last set that I had all the guns all separate, I had all the backpacks separate, and while I think that saved me some time in some ways, I think it just made it very fiddly for me. There was a lot of handling different parts here and there, putting all the things all together. Yeah, I don't think it was the best decision. Looking back, I can see why I would do it. I would probably make that decision again if it was the first time around, but I've learned. Yeah, it was just quite difficult. Got a couple of rogue bristles on this brush because it is a new brush. Tame that bad boy back into place. It's quite peculiar looking at this metallic orange. Go back over the first bit there. It's just such a transparent colour. I suppose I could like put down like a layer of white or ivory over the top of the silver to help be an undercoat for the orange, but that is just getting out another paint, and I think that's kind of unnecessary. The idea is to kind of get them done quicker and quicker, but without actually dropping in quality of my painting, actually improving it as I go. I think it's going to work. I think we're going to be okay. Only time will tell. Good thing is I've got some really nice brushes and it's making this stuff go on by brush very easy. Of course, it's not just the cloak there, he's got a hood as well. And most of them have got sleeves, but some of it's quite hard to work out whether their sleeves are their undercoats, which is really easy to tell once they've been painted, but before they've been painted it's quite hard to determine if they've got like a little undercoat, like overalls if you like, or if it's actually their cloak. But once you've painted it, it's quite easy to see what it is. So it's just kind of a bit of a gamble at first, really. And there are some details around the head here. He's got like a little ventilator mask and some little nodes and areas and stuff coming out of his hood, through his hood, and painting around this. If I go over it by accident with the orange, I can always come back in by brush and sort those details out. They'll be so small a piece that you won't really notice that much, but we can see his head's going on now, look. His cloak's coming on. It is still quite metallic-y, but we will sort that out. Bring my lights up a bit higher, it's a bit easier to see. There we go. Come into focus now. Not so bad, huh? That's just 2 coats. The head's only had 1 there. This guy has a bionic arm and a little bit of a cloak sticking to at the top there, I think. Yeah, he does. Just check on some of my other models. Okay. Right, okay, I'm gonna do it orange. Nice to have a bit of orange showing through anyway. Like that. Oopsie daisy. Camera seems to be behaving itself now, which is proper good. Thanks, camera. Hopefully it will stay with us for the rest of the evening. I wonder if it was just a glitch that was making it do that. I'm touching it now. It's warm but not hot. Maybe it was just a little glitch. I don't know. I absolutely love these little Skitarii guys. I think they're wonderful. I was talking to my friends last night. They came over to my house and we were talking 40k. We haven't played 40k for ages. We've been playing Gaslands, What a Tanker, and absolutely loving it, by the way. Like, they're wonderful games that we've been playing. But I've just been talking about like why I love 40k so much, and the memories I've got as a kid. It was the main war game that got me into playing war games, despite having collected models for years and stuff beforehand. And played little games when I was a kid with my dad. Hi, Dad. I remember playing like with toy tanks and stuff and playing games and stuff with them, but not actual proper war games. 40k was the one that kind of got me into it, and there's like years and years of like stories and lore and things like that, and all the artwork that you're kind of exposed to when you first get into it. As a kid, it was just all consuming. Like giant space battles with, you know, super enhanced space warriors, aliens and demons. Like, what's not to love about that, you know? I miss playing the game. I'd like to get back into playing it again soon, so it'd be quite nice to have some Skitarii to come into. We'll have some Tyranids to play with, some Skitarii to play with, some options, so it's not going to get old on me, you know. The orange is still looking quite metallic, but painting it by hand is actually quite quick at the moment, so it might be an easy fix. I'm not going to paint any more of these until I'm happy that this won't be a metallic orange. I might give another one a go and paint the silver with a white just to see if it makes any difference. I've gone over a little detail there, never mind. Cool, aren't they? Jeff says hi. Hi, Dad. So the games that we used to play when I was a kid, I remember quite clearly when I was about 3 or 4, little toy tanks and little cardboard buildings that were really, really basic. I remember them like it was yesterday, man. And this is like 34 years ago. No, 35, 36 years ago. And basically, we just get a cotton wool ball and just chuck it. And if it lands, it was, you know, your tank's dead. If it lands on your tank. Cool, huh? I remember it. So those were my first sort of war games at the age of like 4 or whatever I must have been. Crazy. I'm going to pick another miniature here that has a good quality cloak that I don't have to file down. Okay, brilliant. And now I'm going to paint this one silver all over. Once that silver's been painted, I'm going to paint the cloak parts that I don't want silver with a layer of white and see how quick that is. Meaning that I can still come in quite aggressively with the silver. Yeah, aggressively. Like this. Speeding up my whole process. But the white, I'm hoping, or an ivory colour, might take away the metallic properties. Because if these metallic paints are designed with being airbrush as a primary thing, like the primary use is through airbrush, then I kind of want to keep a hold of the quality rather than applying it by brush. That being said, it might be just as good. Jeff says, I think you were quite young when we found a GW box game. Space Hulk, was it? Do you know, I can't remember. It wouldn't surprise me. I remember when I first got into Tyranids in 2nd edition, they weren't my first army at all, but you did find like a whole box of Space Hulk Tyranids in a carrier bag in a charity shop with over 40 Gene Stealers in it and a load of other bits and pieces, and it was just a couple of quid. I remember that, but that was like, I must have been about 14, 15 there, I think. Wonderful. So that's done. Let me get one of my ivory colours. I'm going to use Screaming Skull from Citadel, and because this is quite an opaque colour, it's got really good coverage, frankly. The ivory colours from Vallejo, they are very, very nice. They're very, very similar. There is a difference, but it's just super thin. And I don't want to be painting lots of thin colours just to cover up another colour to get a thin colour on top. That's not what I want. So, this is quite a good coverage colour. Scoop from the pot. I'm just going to pop them on the palette over here, and I'm just going to add just the tiniest drop of water just to thin that down, just so I can get some smooth colours on there. This might make the difference for painting orange faster, because it's already done a pretty good job there at covering that colour, that silver. And being a white, essentially, is going to help make that orange really pop. It's looking quite promising. Another reason of wanting to carry on using the airbrush with the silver is there's just so many details that are all going to be silver that will just take so much extra time applying it by brush, and I just want to cheap out on time, but without dropping the quality. Of that painting. Big pauses between my words there, kind of just concentrating, getting it in behind some details. This is why I originally did all my other Ranger models in different pieces, so that I could paint the backpack separately and just glue it on afterwards. But it just meant that my workbench had about 50,000 pieces on it just for a few models. It was unnecessary. This colour is covering that silver really well. Goes too thin, you can see the silver coming through, which is of course is what is happening with the orange, and the orange is just such a thin colour. It's just beating it up basically. Don't know why metallics are so difficult to paint over. There must be some physics quality that is coming through there. What makes it, because it's shiny, what makes it difficult to have a colour over the top? I don't know. That's actually a purity seal there, which will be painted this colour eventually, so I might as well just kind of cover that now. Oopsie daisy. I do have to get red on the inside of these things as well, and I don't think that red has a particularly good opacity either, so if this works I will just do this all over the cloaks, and in the future when I'm making more of them I might do them in two halves still, so that I can just kind of get in the cloaks and whatever and not have to worry about, like, you know, how the things put together, how am I going to get paint in there, so on and so forth. This guy clearly has arms that have got cloak bits on them, so again a bit more this colour. Just going to run that down here. rogue bristles. Brand new brush, you see. Every now and again you'll get like a streak of colour in a place you really didn't want it. Goddamn rogue bristles. Paint those brush strokes out, get some of those darker patches, which is that metallic colour showing through. Adding quite a timestamp on, but it might make a lot of difference. We're only going to find out by giving it a really good go. More purity seals, definitely going to be this colour anyway. Do you know, I'm looking at all the details on the guns that are all hidden in behind here that you can't really see on here very well, but there's lots of filigree and things on there that I really want to kind of go back in and paint really ornately with gold, that I'm not going to be able to do on these models because they're all glued together. So actually in the future, if I'm building models together, putting them all together, I will probably do them separate, but actually most of the models that I got now are already pre-built. But if I ever come to build them myself, I am going to do a U-turn on what I've just said, because I just really like to get in there and do all those little details. Makes me super happy. And I'm not going to be able to do that same level on this, and that makes me super sad. This is adding a lot of time that I don't want to be adding. Got to do these experiments though. Painting over some crucial details on the side of the head there. Okay, we'll come back to him in a minute. Give that brush a good old rinse out. Gonna come back to me orange. I do remember, even just on a standard undercoated white model, the last time it did take a lot of coats to get that orange nice and smooth. So it might just be that I have to do that on a silver model. That's fine, I've got no issue with that. I think it's just important to have a good test and see what works better. Is painting it ivory a really good thing to do? Maybe, maybe not. With the time it just took me to do that whole one model there, just in that one colour, is it worth me just kind of putting on a couple of layers of orange? I don't know. Here's the orange on here. You can see that it is quite still dark and patchy. Oh, I'll try and get it in shot. It's got a bit of metallic showing through, especially on the arms where it's only had one layer, but actually it's not a bad coverage. It's pretty smooth. See how it goes. Might just paint this little bit here. It's such a watery paint. then it might just be that it takes 4 or 5 layers to kind of get it moving. I'm just slapping it on now quite crudely, and you can see it's kind of pooling and puddling, and it's still showing through underneath, so it is a really, really transparent paint. The trick is just to be patient, I think. I can do patience. This is why an airbrush would actually be really good for the orange as well, but I'm just going to end up ruining that silver, and I really wanted to focus on the silver being good quality because I fed it with shoddy metallics. So it's one or the other, isn't it? Do I want really good oranges first go, or do I want really good quality metal colours? And I actually find metallic paint really difficult to paint by brush, so I'm quite happy just to actually just hand paint all this orange in. Like if I was trying to paint all the silver details in and around here, I'd actually be like biting my tongue off in stress. But of course the paints that I have are airbrush paints, and that's not going to help. So it's just occurred to me that I could go online in a bit and order the brush version of this paint. So that's what I'm going to do, because I think that might be how I tackle this problem. And it's about time we went for a break, really, isn't it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring us away from here for a second. Let's just go here, get ready for the fact that we've got a little intermission coming up. I could actually do with a cup of tea, because I've literally, like, today's been really, like, not busy. It's just been like a stressful, getting so many things kind of done within a time frame at work. And I was like out the door, see ya. Got in, set the computer up. My partner came in, I was like, can you feed the cats? That'd be great, cheers. And then I came upstairs, set everything up, sat down, I'm like, right, I'm good to go. And it all just kind of worked, it was good. But I didn't get a chance to make a cup of tea. And my partner went to the shop before she came home and phoned me and was like, is there anything you want from the shops? And I was like, no, I'm alright, but maybe if you could buy me a pack of beer, I'd like to have a beer at the end of the night, that'd be great, so I can sit and talk to the guys on Discord and sit down and chill out. She's like, I've just been to the shop. Why are you phoning me? I don't want to go back in the shop. You just asked me what what I wanted, and then you're not gonna go back to it. It's okay. It's fine. Thanks very much though. Cheers. It was a weird conversation. Okay. So that's 3 coats just onto straight on silver, you know what I mean. And I reckon like 2 coats might get the job done. 2 more coats, so that's 5 in total. That's quite a long way, and if I've missed any little bits like on the edges, like I'm trying to go over now, like on the edges of the fabric bits, if you like, they still look quite metallic-y. They look quite golden because like orange over the top of silver, right? They still have like a metallic tint to them, which I'm not overly keen on. So is this the right way? Maybe if I get the right paint would be a good idea. I'm just going to do, ever so quickly, before we fade to music there, is I'm just going to go, oh my goodness, just put my hand on the paint. I'm just going to put a quick once over layer over this white that I've got here. And you see the problem there is that the white cuts right through that orange and shows it up for every little streak and mistake that it's got, but it really makes the orange pop. So this extra time that I spent putting this like white coat down might be key. I'm backwards and forwards, you know. I'm a real fence sitter at the moment with this. It's so hard to decide. You can see how fiery that is compared to how flat that one there is. Tough decisions to make, which I will continue to make for the next 10 minutes while I go and have myself a quick break. You should definitely go and stretch your legs, refocus your eyes, whatever it is you need to go and do. Maybe you want a cup of tea as well. I don't blame you, but whatever it is that you should do, you should go and change your paint water. Make it happen. See you in a minute. Bye. Welcome back! I made myself a cup of tea, didn't change my paint water, but I've only just used it, but shh, don't tell anybody. Stafford shouts, Wazomatic. Not entirely sure why. Cheers, mate. Thanks. Yeah, I've just been back in the studio, just been kind of getting rid of those little patchy bits where the putty was, filling the little lines, using that really cool tool to do it. It's kind of worn the paint away, obviously. I'm just going to go back in and spray over that again in a minute. It seems to have filled that little crack up quite well, which is really good. She's done a really good job of it, to be fair. Looks a bit messy because I've just kind of rubbed all the paint away. But I got a bit overzealous doing the undercoating, which is fine. Anyway, got completely harassed by cats the moment I went out the door. Had a bit of a fiasco trying to push the cats out of the studio because they will go bonkers in here. So maybe if there's enough demand for it, I will let the cats in here at the end of the show. If not, I don't want to risk it. But yeah, maybe if it gets me 60 subscribers, I'll let the cats trash my stuff. Not desperate or nothing. Let's go to the workbench, yeah? And the camera's working still. Great, brilliant, cool. I wonder, do you know, it's actually much, much cooler now. It's interesting, right? Cool, okay, so yeah, what was I just doing? I was just, you can see that big bold patch there where I've just kind of been scraping away through the paint to reveal the grey plastic and a very, very thin white line that runs down there. That is what I filled earlier, which is imperceptible now apart from the colour of that white line. I'm just going to spray it with silver and see how it affects it. It's only the outside of the cloak, so I don't necessarily need that to be silver. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And I'm just going to quickly do the little patch on here as well with this little device. If you're trying to get rid of mould lines, all you do is you just basically just put it on the mould line and just basically scrape down like it's a knife. It's just bloody good at it, frankly. And you can see there, it's making a very good job of pulling all the paint away. That's fine. The lumpy little brush strokes of putty are underneath that paint, so I'm quite happy for it to pull all that away. But it has filled that little seam in there absolutely beautifully. It's a really good putty filler for those tiny little crack lines and seams and things. But I have seen people do demonstrations on YouTube where they fill like larger like holes and things on models, and this particular substance hasn't worked so well for it, but it's not designed for that. Okay, and now I've just got that one seam all the way down there, so I'm just going to come in now, just see if I can find the best angle of approach. There's a lot of detail and business going on here, so I'm just going to, yeah, like that, peel it down and sort of a, you know, against the line rather than with the line, so I don't pull the putty out of it, because that might happen. There are times when this tool isn't appropriate, and that is when you need to get right inside all the tiny details, and you need to go like the end, like the point of a knife or something, to kind of get in and do it. And of course that is a place where this tool isn't going to be appropriate. Not every tool is appropriate for the job. But what I like about it is it's such a simple shape and design that actually just this little curve here is enough to fill most requirements, like doing the pauldrons on a Space Marine shoulders, or on some of the robots I've been doing for the Adeptus Mechanicus. This curve has done everything, literally everything. This little pokey pointy bit here is actually working really well at getting into the curves just inside the cloak here, and just literally by just placing it against it and just pushing the sharpish edge that is just the flat edge is enough to scrape those mould lines away. It works really well, and it's such a simple tool. I can imagine the meeting where whoever invented this was trying to pitch a flat piece of metal as a tool. Some dusty bits there, let's get rid of that. The cracks in that cloak have been filled. I'm gonna brush those dusty bits away with my expensive brush. What are you thinking? Lovely. Come back to this one here, and this is one that just needs a bit of spraying. The silver paint in my airbrush is still good to spray. It's not drying in the airbrush, which is phenomenal. Another good quality of this paint. I have just run out of that paint though. I talked too soon. Lovely. I will put you just here somewhere. Yeah, why not? And then there's this guy here, which needs a good go as well. There is still a little line that if I'd spent all day putting putty into and sanding it down, I could have got rid of it completely. I just wanted it mostly to go away. A little bit of paint will fill that, and that is fine. I'm happy with that. The idea is to have quite a few of these Skitarii miniatures, so I don't want to be like doing it with every single model, spending hours and hours filling and sanding. That'll just get tedious pretty quickly. Be another project that I just don't finish. I just ran out of paint again. I think I have, but I've run out just in the right time. Just gotta put a bit of air over this guy because he needs it. Help dry that paint. Went on quite thick, it did. Wonderful. Okay, cool. I will just put a little bit of cleaner through my airbrush just to help stop any little blockages. What is interesting that I've just noticed is how last week when I was doing the grime effects with this paint, when I was removing the grime, I thought that I'd almost gone back to that bare metal colour, but actually this is the colour silver here that I've been working with today, and this is the colour that I was left with last week. There is a massive difference in those colours, so this is a really good griming technique. Changes the colour of the metal completely, even if you think you've removed it all. But actually I think probably better with the darker grime than it is the lighter grime. But I think I said that last week. Back to orange. Not that orange. This orange. Have I got a brush orange? I do actually have an orange by Games Workshop. I've got a really, really bright one here. I don't even know how good quality this paint is. It's pretty unmixed. Let's mix that up on the Ryza-matic. It's been sat there for years. It was given to me ages and ages ago. Can't even remember who by. But it, might help. That is not an orange that I am looking to use. That is extremely pale, but it might be opaque enough for another day. Back to the first one that I painted on. That's all kind of nice and dry a little bit now, so I can dry a little bit. That wasn't really a very good sentence. But you know what I mean. Drier. Let's get some orange back on here. This is like coat number 4 now. and it's still going on very, very thin. But like I said, I remember doing this with the other ones. That's one of the reasons why they took me so long. It's just, yeah. But I also remember airbrushing it. I could go back into previous episodes to go and find it out, but I'm not gonna. I like lessons learned the hard way. I'm actually just enjoying putting paint on things at the moment, so whatever. It is starting to lose that metallic sheen though, which is good. It means that I'm winning. It's just a very slow win. I prefer quick little wins. I will just paint over that whole silver edge there because I'm going to have to come over it with red eventually anyway. Going through my orange quite quickly, so let's just get a whole bunch of it there. Glad to see that camera's working a bit better now. It's making me feel very nervous. I keep looking up and go, oh yeah, I'm still moving. Griming it makes it quite bronzy. Yeah, it certainly did. It is a brown colour, and like what I'm experiencing with this orange now is that the metallic is kind of cutting through the colour and turning it into a metallic orange. So it has done that with that brown grime colour, because that's essentially all it is. It's just a a very good brown, and because it's an oil-based product, it's really good for using with spirits and thinners and kind of getting that technique of griming, which is used by tank model makers and things for doing like natural grimy effects, really realistic stuff. It's more about the properties than I think it is the actual colour. But there's a darker one, much darker one, which I think, if I'm going to do more grim dark stuff, I will get. This orange is starting to kind of come alive a little bit now. Finger right in the orange that I've just painted. Clever me. I'm going to compare it to one of the others. Silver is really matted on the other one, and I wanted something that had much more shine to it, and I'm certainly getting that here. I will take a comparison photo later on to show you. It's really quite an incredible difference. Really shiny. Really happy with the choice. It's really making me smile. A nice little win. Jeff's just put a comment in saying, I do like staining things. You do get some terrific effects even by accident, but I find it hard to stop and even often go too far. Yes, yeah, I've done that. I've done that before. I'm sure everyone's done that before. Not just in painting. Having a good time, take it too far. Okay, come back to that one. Let's go back to the one with white on it, and yeah, it's very patchy there. can't help but think that actually a lot of my problems will go away if I buy the right paint. I like these airbrush paints because you can apply them by brush. That's kind of what they're for. But in some cases, you know, it is the wrong paint. Like clearly now, I'm having problems with it because it's just too thin for this job. So I will see if I can find myself the appropriate brush version of this one, because this is just the Game Air version. So they do model paints, which is what they just call model colours, and they're more like realistic colours that you might expect to find like on real armoured fighting vehicles in the real world. For example, here's one that my dad gave me a little while ago. It had too many of it. Iraqi sand, just the model colour. It is just simple colours that you find in the real world generally, but the model game range, or the game range, is colours that are more vibrant, a little bit more fantastical, a little bit more suited to unrealistic games and fantasy games and things like 40k, really, where you want like vibrant colours. Not saying they don't have their place in real world things. You'll just find more realistic colours in their model range, and in this particular range, or in both ranges, they do an air version. So this is Game Air. You can apply it by brush, it's just thinner. So there should be, this is called Hot Orange or Naranja Tostado. Probably butchered that accent, I'm very sorry. I should be able to find it in their normal game range, so they probably have a slightly thicker consistency, meaning that its coverage will be much better. I was getting really quite concerned with painting this colour scheme, because I was struggling with the terrain effects on the bases and matching the colours and playing with pigments, and I was getting just a little bit annoyed, I think, when I was painting the last set, just because I had all these really good ideas, but I was really kind of just struggling to make them translate into the actual material world. What's up here doesn't always come out here, and I find that frustrating as an artist. And yeah, I was wondering whether I should just pack in the orange colour and just move over to the Martian colours, which is just all the red, change my army and just be like, yeah, I'm going to go with these guys instead. And that was further exacerbated by the fact that there are loads of different types of these armies in the book that I was having a look through, and they've all got their own different symbology, and I really liked this one, and I just chose it because it had the most orange, and I liked all the symbology that goes along with it. But Games Workshop, doing another solid, stopped producing all of the symbology for anything but Mars. Now I know that sounds a little bit first world problem, but when you're trying to enjoy the game, and let's remember it's just a game, so it's okay, it's annoying when they only produce and they are extremely detailed, and I'm not even going to bother trying to learn how to do it by hand, all those symbols and stuff for all the other armies but one, but then provide you with all the colour schemes and, you know, wonderful content in the book that it kind of encourages you to do others. So I've been searching high and low for Ryza symbology, and there's lots of stuff out there on the internet that says, oh, it's all out of print. Well, that's great, cheers, thanks very much, Games Workshop. And I got quite frustrated and quite angry unnecessarily, I know, unnecessarily, and all I wanted was a sheet of the transfers. and I would have paid up the 10 quid for it, but there's just nowhere around for it. You just can't find it, and that's okay. So I've decided I'm going to carry on doing all my orange colours. I like them, and I will play these things on the table, and I just won't have those individual symbols. There's still all the other weird and wonderful glyphs and things that they have, and all their weird little warning signs and stuff, and they look beautiful. They're a little bit like Eldar crossed with something else. Eldar crossed with human, I suppose, in some ways. It really is quite pretty. It just means that I won't have that little homeworld symbol on them, and I find that a little bit upsetting because there's a little bit of the perfectionist in me that wants to have that. Like, I've gone to the trouble of doing this because it was suggested in the book, so I'm gonna, but not being able to follow through that is a little bit annoying. But at the same time, in my head, I have settled it. I've settled that argument. Okay, do you know what, Games Workshop? I'm going to carry on doing it. I'm just not going to have those symbols that you said I should have. There are places out there in the world that are selling, or sorry, just providing. They're not selling, not making any money on it at all. They're providing the document of those symbols, which you can then print off onto your own water slide transfers. My printer unfortunately isn't very good, and I've had no luck in the past of printing my own water slides. If there is anyone out there that can do those water slides for a reasonable cost, of course, and can do that for me, then I will absolutely buy them from you, and I will scream and shout about your service on this show until I'm blue in the face and can't do it anymore, and tell the world what a wonderful person you are, and generate business for you if that's what you want, because that's what I think this show should be about. Is what this community is about. Getting somewhere with this orange. It is just slow going. It's about patience, isn't it? Patience, patience. Now his little head. I'm really looking forward to painting the rest of the models that I've got with these guys. If you want to see the rest of the models I got, I could do like a little Facebook video throughout the week. I've got a couple of days coming up together. That'll be lovely, wouldn't it? Sunday and Monday. On Monday, I can certainly do like a little video. I can talk to you live on Facebook. I will show you through all the models that I've got, and just kind of, yeah, that Dave gave me and that are waiting for me, and just the excitement that I've got about having this army of really cool looking robots and steampunk style soldiers. Really quite enthused to get through painting them. I'm looking at painting some robots next, so they're like the Castellan robots, and they've kind of got some real like Robbie the Robot vibes, which I am quite excited by, because I'm a really big fan of all the old sci-fi classics. Growing up, I used to be very much into that. So there's a lot of like there's a lot of themes that come through in this army that really appeal to me. And that's what captures a lot of us, isn't it? It's what kind of brings us in, is like memories and vibes of something that's cool. I mean, Space Marines are awesome, right? Because they're just like awesome stuff. But like the Imperial Guard, People play a lot of Imperial Guard stuff, or the Astra Militarum they're called now, aren't they? Because let's face it, we all remember Aliens. It's my favourite film. They are pretty much those Marines. They've got all the jungle fighters, which is pretty much any Vietnam film ever. Tau encapsulate anything that's manga, and even though there's no real place for manga in its rawest form in the grim world universe of 40k, but if you allow that grim world to have a filter over manga, you certainly end up with Tau. It's very, very good. I like the kind of beacon of shining hope kind of coming through the veil of grime and filth in Warhammer, just for it to be pooed on by everything else in the universe. I like the story of the Tau, and the fact that when they were first encountered, they were like super peaceful, and well, not super peaceful, but you know, they were a breath of fresh air for the Imperium, for people, well, for players, I suppose. Yeah, we kind of come in peace, and we're much easier, and we just kind of want everyone to be happy, and you can live in our empire, and everyone's got a place, and there's a place for you. Communists, man. But behind the veil, of course, there were horrors. The first time that the Tau encountered the Tyranids, they sent out an envoy, a delegation, diplomats, etc. They didn't come back, so it was like, oh, well, let's hope nothing bad happened to them. We'll send out some more. They didn't come back. They did that 3 times before they went, something's not quite right here. Yeah, you were just sending them Happy Meals. So, well done you. Okay. 4 coats on the silver. 2-3 coats on the white. It is starting to show a much better vibrancy through the white there, so I think I should definitely put some sort of a white background down on top of that silver, because though it's okay, it is just taking a very long time, so I'm basically going to have to undercoat anything that I want to paint on top of the silver with a white. That's fine, that's okay. So Jeff says, do they only fight on Mars? No, in fact I don't think much fighting actually happens on Mars. Mars is an Imperial homeworld right beside Holy Terror, which is Earth. Not a lot really kind of goes on there. It is the homeworld, the original homeworld of the Adeptus Mechanicus. So these guys are the warriors of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Adeptus Mechanicus are essentially tech priests. They have taken technology to another level. They worship it, believe that there is the Omnicide, the machine god, and that has permeated through into every aspect into Imperial life. Even the Space Marines have Tech Marines, who are Space Marines that have studied on Mars. Mars in general, unless you are part of their world, is a massive, massive secret, and these guys govern those secrets with, you know, armies to protect them. Mars is the original, has the original army, you know, the Mars colours and whatever, and then over the thousands of years in the 40,000 universe, they spread out and, you know, adopted more what they call Forge worlds. Like Mars is the original Forge world. There are others. That's where the name Forge world comes from the Games Workshop business, and it is basically they set up, you know, different Martian style armies, etc. Explaining it very badly, but you get the idea. That is a nice cup of tea. Yeah, and each one like has different attributes or qualities. They have different specialties, etc. The one that I play here, which is Ryza, they are really into plasma weaponry generally. They've also got some pretty good close combat specialists that are particularly good against fighting orcs, because they test themselves against orcs. Others are really good at fighting in like irradiated zones. Yeah, so they all got their own different flavours, and it's just a way of bringing different, you know, regimented colour schemes to the players. and it's also a way of bringing in slightly different variations and flavors and tactics and sort of things that you want to kind of add in as a player. I personally like all that sort of stuff. It's there in every army type. Even the Necrons have their own different types. They're called dynasties. They're just different races, essentially, of the same species. Yeah, that's essentially what it is. Mars was just the original. You will never step foot on Mars. It is so closely guarded. Tech Marines are the only people that are allowed in outside of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Then they basically, it's a part of the agreement between the Imperium and the Adeptus Mechanicus, which is that they will allow Space Marines to come in, learn some of their secrets, and learn how to protect, learn how to look after their machines and whatever, and then they take those back to their armies, which are called chapters and Space Marines, and they closely guard their secrets whilst maintaining their machines and armaments and things. And it's basically religion and worship and machines. All of these Skitarii are the fighting units, the core fighting units of the Adeptus Mechanicus. They are completely and utterly 100% indoctrinated, brainwashed. They think they are fighting for their machine god. Actually, they are fighting with programmed code. They are servitors, slaves to their masters. They probably don't even remember their human lives. They could be worshippers, devout. They've come to hand themselves over to the machine god. Most of them are probably prisoners, deserters and things like that have been brainwashed and turned into cybernetic warriors. Yeah, there you go. They have their eyelids removed so that blinking isn't lost data. That's why they got these funny goggles on, so that their eyes are always kept fresh. They have their lower legs and their arms up to the elbow removed so that they've kind of got the reflexes of a robot. Yeah, more cybernetic than anything else. Cool, huh? Like it. I'm just going to keep on painting. I'm going to put a little bit of red on this one and see how well that covers. I have used gory red, I think. Or did I use scarlet? I can't remember now. I used gory red. There we go. A quick check on the model. Yeah, it was. Which is quite a dark red. It's a very nice colour. I like it. I didn't want it to be blood red because it's quite close to orange. It's just basically standard red. I didn't really want that. And I'm just going to use this. Oopsie daisy. I'm going to use this on the insides of their cloaks because that's what Ryza do. It's apparently in the book is a way of honouring their Martian descendants. They pay honour basically to Mars by having the red in their colour scheme. And I wonder how opaque or transparent this paint is. Oh, it's actually much better than the orange. That will not take very long at all to cover, and it's actually inside anyway, so it doesn't matter all that much. Probably 2 coats will do that, as long as the metallic isn't showing through, which it might do. Oops, a bit dropsy today. It's a very shiny, sparkly red because it is very metallic. Stafford says they're using technology they no longer truly understand. Yeah, that is a big takeaway there. An oversight on my behalf. Yeah, technology that had they had an innate understanding of thousands and thousands of years ago, that now basically it's like starting up a computer and going like, what am I doing? To which Jeff says, I'm a bit like that. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly it. I am really trying very hard to not get all these colours all over that silver and ruin the whole point of having that silver. Would it have been better for me to brush this silver on? Probably. It's funny using the airbrush though, right? So I could have sprayed them all orange and then gone over with the silver, but I really wanted, like I said, to kind of get that silver in there. I find silver very difficult to work with by brush. So yeah, I'm quite keen to just do it this way. Of course, on the next batch that I do, I will do it the other way around and just see what works best. Even though I've kind of got the colour scheme down, it's still a learning process. What is the best way of doing it all? I'm okay with that. It's fine. So there's red on the inside there. I've also got a blue to paint as well, and if I remember right, I think it's not Hex Lichen. I think it's Alien Purple. This colour here, painted over their trousers, and they wear overalls underneath their robes. And I basically was just trying to match the colour that was in the book, and I got it down to an absolute eidetic copy. It was amazing. Took me a little bit of practice to get it, but basically it's this colour, and then I use a little bit of Army Painter Quick Shade, which is essentially their washes. Right, it's washes by Quick Shade. Their blue tone. Apply this over it, and it just changes. It filters this colour down to a more blue sort of colour, and it just worked. Really good. So that's going to be their overalls. Sometimes you can just see their sleeves poking through their robes, but actually mostly it's actually the tops of their trousers. So in here, for example, the bottom part of their leg is bionic, metal. There is a little crease, which is a piece of leg armour there, but behind it, that's trouser, or if you're America, the pants. Don't know why I did a silly voice. The pants. Yeah, it is their trousers, basically their overalls. Let's get this red in this robe as well. We are very close to the end of the show, which is a shame because I'm having a right blast here. I am going to carry on for the evening. There are a few more people watching the show than just Afton and Jeff, who've been in the live chat. Thanks for coming and joining me today. If you do want to join me after the show on the Easy After Party, come along. Talk to me about all the problems I've been making for myself this evening. Talk to me about how to make my camera work properly, which actually seems to not be a topic at the moment. I'm almost positive Chris the Wolf is watching right now, despite not saying anything. And Chris the Wolf has been commissioned recently by me to do some new artwork and logos and things for Easy 8. We've had Chris the Wolf on in the past on the show as a guest, and Chris was actually doing some live doodles as we were talking, and is just a very talented artist. And has recently graduated as a graphic design artist and is looking for work. So I was like, brilliant. Do you know what? Let's combine forces. So really looking forward to seeing all of that. I've given all my briefing and my specs over. Waiting for those first rounds of images to come through. Watch this space. if you have any need for any graphic work to be done, Chris is a digital artist beyond compare. And if you actually do need some work doing, then you should definitely consider Chris the Wolf. If you need to get in contact with Chris the Wolf, you can obviously get in contact with them through me here, through Facebook, through Discord. It's a very good way to get in contact with Chris. Obviously you can just leave comments here in the description to this video. If they're not picked up by Chris, they will be picked up with me, and I talk with Chris very regularly. And I will, of course, make sure that they know that you would like to talk to Chris. Oh, do you know when you get a cup of tea and it's just hits the spot and you're not going to have a cup of tea like that for a while? It's kind of a shame, but at the same time, that was really nice. Yum. So here is the orange without the metallic background to it. Vibrant, popping, still a little bit patchy. I'll actually get it in frame. Still a bit patchy. That's okay. This one here, much less patchy, but much flatter, much duller. There's a lacking in vibrancy here. I don't really know which one I prefer. I think I prefer the dark one because it kind of blends in a bit more with this one here. But I've got a long way to go to get there. Actually, no, the brighter one is better suited here. It's just been toned down with some brown stains and things. So yeah, maybe the undercoated way is best. That's okay, that's fine. I'm going to spend the rest of the evening just chilling out on Discord, talking to you guys, and getting that done. It's just a very sparkly red showing through underneath. It looks like a shiny material. It's weird. But that shiny metal is everything that I wanted. I was really hoping it was going to be that way, and it is. Yay. I think in future models I'm going to have to spray them all orange and then hand paint the silver on, which is a shame because I just don't like fighting with silver, and there's a lot of places in and around, like behind the backpacks and stuff, that I know I'm gonna struggle with, but clearly it's gonna give me better quality results and faster. Beautiful models though, absolutely love them. Yeah, I'm gonna come away from the workbench now. Let's go back to me. Brilliant models, brilliant painting, a little bit time consuming, but I knew it was going to be that way. I'm going to just try and just soldier on. Soldiers. Just me? Tough crowd. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm just going to soldier on. Just keep on painting. I'm going to probably put some white on the other ones just to kind of get those vibrant colours coming up a little bit. And then, like I say, in the future, I'm going to have to make sure that I hand paint the silver on and airbrush orange onto them. So yeah, that's going to be how I'm going to do it. However, not all the models are like this for this army. For example, I've got like the robots are a really good alternative to these. They're actually very expensive in game in terms of points because they're just really high performers, but they're very kind of like Robbie the Robot, sort of classic sci-fi movie vibes. And unlike Robbie, who I think was on like ploddy legs and then on tracks in Lost in Space, these ones have got kind of like very like standard looking legs. By the by, they are not going to have all the intricate details like these tiny little models do. They are much bigger. And they're going to be very bold oranges, very little amounts of metalwork on them, but I'm going to do like high amounts of weathering on them, so lots of scuffs and scratches that kind of go through to the bare metal. So there's going to be a lot of orange, a little bit of red on them. I think they're going to have black heads because that kind of looks cool. I've seen some pictures in the book for that. And yeah, and I'm just going to start using the two-tone orange effect. So when I was saying earlier on, I've got a place for the brighter orange. Is what I'm going to do is I'm going to like do scratches with a lighter orange. So like you can sponge it on, get some like just small amounts of dotting, and you would do that with the lighter orange, and that's like kind of the undercoat if you like showing through. And then where you want that undercoat to have been scored through as well, then you hit it with little dots of the silver, and you can get some really nice effects. And that can be time consuming depending on how heavy you want that weathering to go in. And of course I can do chipping effects as well, but I use a lot of chipping effects when I do a lot of like sort of weathering effects and things, like paint removed weathering effects. And I think it's time to have another go at a different technique, so that's what I will probably do. So I'm going to paint them all in the dark orange that I've got, do weathering chips of the lighter orange, and then going down to steel in on them, and then hopefully they should have a lot of colour to them. Will look really cool. Anyway, that is enough for me this week. It's been a very, very quiet show this week, but that's absolutely fine. It has occurred to me throughout the show that it is actually the beginning of the summer holidays here in the UK, and that's why I'm getting ready for work tomorrow, is because obviously I work at a children's residential centre. The children come and stay with us over the summer holidays. So tomorrow is the first day of that. There's probably a lot of families getting ready for holidays and things all at home. That's cool. That is fine. You can watch it back on the replay. You don't have to watch it at all. But what would be really cool is if you like what we do here, or even if you don't, just like and follow and subscribe to the show, because every little bit helps me make it just more, and I feel encouraged and enthused and just warm and fuzzy inside. So please do subscribe to the show. Share it. Tell a friend. Tell a... I've done it already. Tell a friend of me. Yeah, all that stuff. Anyway, I've had a wicked time this evening. Going to carry on. If you want to come and join me over at Discord at the Easy 8 After Party, please do so. I will be heading straight over there myself, and I will see you guys next time. So until then, take care, stay safe, and be kind. Keep on painting. See you soon. Cheers now. Right, time to peel all this back and start again. Good days.